Applause for Elena Odominski and Dario Acosta-Teig, live from New York City. Everybody, thank you. And welcome to the Hof live at Frankfurter Buchmesse 2025. My name is Felix Zeltner. I have the honor to be your host for this very special occasion. The Hof is what we call the virtual bonfire of the global publishing community. So it's an online series that runs all year round with live music. These guys got up very early, just saying, okay? So if you have been complaining to your colleagues today, oh, it's Thursday, they just got up at 5 a.m. To play for you over there in New York City. And we do this all year round for the global publishing community, and once a year, we always have the special honor to bring it live to Book Fair, to Buchmesse on stage. And today you're part of a premiere of a special debut that never happened before. Because today we had the courage to invite you, and I'm so happy that so many of you took the time to be here. We also had the courage to invite a virtual audience over Zoom. Who has been on the Hof on Zoom already? I think I see some regulars here. Yes, thank you, I see you. Well, some of you are not in Frankfurt right now. We wanted to give you the chance to be here as well. So this is also a premiere and an experiment for the great tech team that is working here behind the scenes. Do you think we can show our community on Zoom? Are we ready to switch over to Zoom and see if anybody is here? I saw some chat messages from New York City, from Rio de Janeiro, and from other places. And here they are. Hello. Welcome from Frankfurt. I hope you can hear us. Maybe you can give us a quick wave over there. Different continents coming together. This is the Hof. Thank you very much, tech team. Great job. I will call on you again. And, you know, the topic today is a really big one that I want to discuss with all of you together, whether you're on Zoom or whether you're live here in the room. AI and the battle for reality. In a world where artificial intelligence increasingly generates content, makes decisions, and simulates realities, one central question arises: who controls reality? I'm reading this from my phone because that was a long sentence. The question, who controls reality, is what we're going to discuss here today. And let's discuss how we define, perceive, or even rethink our reality in the age of generative AI. So before I welcome our guests on stage, I would like to get your voice, your contribution in. How do we do this? Tech crew, are you ready? So now we're going to switch over to Zoom again, and you're going to see a Menti screen. So if you have a phone with you, it's a sentence you rarely hear at home probably, pull out your phone, please, and scan the Menti code. And let us know what you think about who controls reality in this day and age. Thank you for getting your phones out. If you're joining virtually, you have a link in the chat, or you can put the Menti code that is up there on the screen on your menti.com. And thank you for a few first names that have already been popping up. Thank you for contributing from all around the world. We would love to get your contributions the entire hour, and whether that's me or news or billionaires, we want to hear from you what you think about who controls reality. The word cloud is coming together, and this gives me a chance to introduce our guests and put that difficult question to them. You might hear some music in the background, so Elena and Dario are with us the entire hour. Elena and Dario, I would ask you now to fade in the Hof song for our guests to join me on the stage. First up, I would like to welcome the UN Undersecretary for Global Communications. Melissa Fleming is today here with us. Melissa, please join me on stage. Hi. Good to see you. Please have a seat. I would like to welcome the author of AI for Community and AI Strategist at the BAI Group, Davar Ardalan. Davar, it's such an honor to have you. Welcome to the Hof. Hello. Please have a seat. And the Chief Publishing Officer and Board Member at Springer Nature, Harsh Jegadeesan. Harsh, welcome. Hi, how are you? So, it's quite a little bit coming in. Liz, our producer over there in New York, if you want to scroll through the answers a little bit, we went all the way from Donald, to our brains, to God. We all do it collectively. The observer, our imagination, money, the big four. I see my name popping up there. That was me. So it depends. What do you think? Who controls reality? Melissa, I'm going to start with you. If you hear the answers that are coming in, those are just spontaneous thoughts. What do you think?
Thanks, Felix. I think it is a combination of us and big AI platform actors, but us is unfortunately also distorted. Us, I mean as human beings, people who have the power to speak, but there are those who understand how to weaponize the algorithms to make their voices amplify multiple times, a multiplication of their voices beyond what the reality is. And if they're well funded, they can manipulate the online ecosystem even more and create a narrative, a false narrative that distorts the reality for people who are online. And just, I think there are numerous studies that lies travel as much as 6 times faster than facts, or maybe even more now with AI on the scene, and cold hard facts competing with algorithms that amplify outrage and hate over kind of nice humanity means that it is an uneven balance of who controls the reality in the place where most people spend all of their time.
Thank you, Melissa. You're a true diplomat. I could hear that. And we have one community member
I don't think I was very nice.
We all may control our reality, but it depends on what we want to see to be real. And ourselves is what came up a lot. It's us, but ... Davar, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree that it's the people who have the more resources, the people who have the megaphone, if you will. But as you know, this has been going on for millennia. Politicians, others have always captured us with their misinformation, trying to, take us down journeys where they're setting the reality. And I think more and more there's opportunities for communities, which is why this AI for community is seriously important in this day and age. Communities who are finding ways to amplify their own messages, create cultural engines, which we'll talk about, in order to be able to create beautiful, meaningful spaces for themselves. And that's really what I'm focusing on. And so I think that we have to battle misinformation with the same tools that those who have resources are using, and then focus and narrow it in on making sure that we're empowering our communities in ways that they feel fulfilled, that they believe that they're understanding these tools in a way that it's supporting them, and really focusing on that side of it.
I think going back to communities, shape your reality within a community is what I hear a lot in conversation here at the Buchmesse. And kudos to you, Davar. I mean, we're at Frankfurt Book Fair. Kudos to an author who just says, I'm going to bring my book up on stage. That's pretty cool. I think that deserves an applause. Davar, congratulations on AI for Community. It's a really amazing book. And thank you for being here. Harsh, what do you think? Who controls reality?
I think that's the trillion-dollar question, isn't it? What was interesting for me was I didn't see publishers there in that list. We are in a publishing conference, and it was interesting.
Can somebody put it in?
There.
What stands out to you when you look at the list?
I see tech, I see Donald, I see Felix, I see social, I see AI, but publishers are missing there. I mean, taking a step back, I think if you ask me who controls reality, if you look at philosophers like Plato, or if you look at historians like Yuval Noah Harari, they talk about how stories that we hear control our reality. I think what's changing, in the past, these stories were written by maybe priests. They were written by maybe publishers published these stories, scholars, but increasingly these stories are now being written by AI and amplified by algorithms. So that's what sort of controlling our reality. Two clear examples. At home, closer home, my daughter, her worldview is shaped by TikTok. What she sees are determined by algorithms in TikTok. What she believes is actually shaped by TikTok. My mom, a retired healthcare professional, gets videos in WhatsApp. I'm sure a lot of us get it. On a magical cure for diabetes, right? So
Yeah.
two screens, two different continents, but people really living in their own reality shaped by algorithms, shaped by AI. But I think if you ask me who should control reality, I believe reality is a shared space. Not one entity should control it. Maybe utopia, but not one entity should control it. And we should be able to have transparency, trust, and verification. As a research publisher, I think verification of reality is really important, so we could evolve the shared reality together.
Yes. Thank you. You were basically saying, yes, of course. Applause. And maybe we can switch back to the big screen of the panel, just so you can see here what different perspectives are on stage together. I think that's really important, because we're now going to talk about how you experience this in your daily life. Melissa, let's start by talking to you. You host a magnificent podcast called Awake at Night. I listened this morning, I got some goosebumps, because you're really putting up people that work in the most difficult environments for the United Nations around the world, and you bring their stories to life. And you're very tuned in to many, many places that are very tricky to handle right now around the world. So can you maybe share how the UN's work at this very moment is affected by AI, misinformation, disinformation? Maybe you can give one or two examples.
No, thank you. And I mean, one of the reasons I do host this podcast and try to bring out the humans who work at the UN behind this institution that's very often distorted. And I'll give an example of how in a minute, is because of what Harsh was just saying, that people are, and what you were just saying, are influenced by stories of other humans. And the more we can reach people with stories that they can relate to, the more receptive they'll be to learning more about all of the facts behind them. So we are faced with enormous amounts of disinformation. You know, when I started my career at the UN, decades ago, we were really excited when finally social media came onto the scene, because then we could communicate with people directly. We love going through journalists, we love giving lectures, but then we could actually have a direct line, until we realized there was a dark side, and we realized that some of the themes that we work on in the UN, for example, at the time I was working on refugees, and refugees became a political tool to win elections. It was not humanizing them, it was vilifying them. And social media was very convenient to turn them into something to be afraid, people to be afraid of. And so that's one example. And another current example, because we're talking about AI here, I thought things were tough when we were dealing with only AI-fueled algorithms, but now we have generative AI. We have the potential to create deepfake content that's pushed into the information ecosystem, can really start dominating narratives. So I'll give you the current example of Gaza. I mean, we have been in a war of narratives like I've never been in as a communicator. We've been trying to reach Gazans in all corners. We have all the capabilities. We have enough food. We have enough medicine. We have enough shelter. But we've been faced with multiple obstacles. If you go into one bubble of the internet, it will tell you that the UN is incapable, incompetent, and lazy, and that there is no famine in Gaza. You go into another part of the internet, and you might find a very emotional and but much more accurate picture where we are winning the battle of the narratives with facts. And it is exhausting in a way. We have no money to buy ads or to buy bots, whereas other actors do. And so we're in this battle of the narrative. What I do find is that actual people I meet are, confronting me with questions was like, oh my God, you have a master's degree, but you think that there is no famine in Gaza and that the UN is the problem and that we're just not delivering. So it's a very, very challenging time to be a communicator for an institution who is working for the public good. And yeah, I'm sure we can explore that further.
Yeah, Davar, I wonder what you think about this, because you just said, every community should use this tool, right? And you're very optimistic about it. How does that fit with your narrative?
I think there's opportunities to also help create spaces where, to your point about bots, yes, they're very expensive to create, but we can also create smaller bots that actually are the Q&A. I'm sure you've done this and this is nothing new, but I create different bots for different scenarios. So I work with civil engineers and we create bots that they can use that are very tailored to their needs. I've created ancestry bots. I've created legacy bots. One of the ones that I'll mention is my late mother. She was a scholar, prolific scholar, and before she passed away, we were putting her work into AI. She was a controversial, author. She had translated the gender-neutral translation of the Quran. She had been featured in the New York Times. She had gotten death threats. And there is a lot of misinformation out there about her. But creating Lale-AI, a tool where people can go directly during the month of Ramadan, ask questions, it was very empowering. And in fact, one of the leadership of the Online News Association was a follower of her. And I didn't know that. And she said that she found this engagement, this direct engagement with this bot, really satisfying in a way where, so I have, for the data, I've not only put up my mother's writings, also her dreams, her thoughts, her notes, her lectures, so that you can actually go back and trace the trajectory of how she went from a little girl in Washington, D.C., reading Little Women, to being empowered at the age of 60 to write a gender-neutral translation of the Quran, to later in her life doing a lot more. So that's just one example of a small way that we can counter misinformation by creating these tailored experiences.
Very interesting, and it shows the huge bandwidth under which we talk about AI, right?
Yeah.
It's so big that it's very hard to grasp. And Harsh, I want to come to you, and also back to all of you in the room. If our great technicians, Lucas and Bibi, would mind switching back to the Menti screen here, so everybody can maybe chime in on this question. We have the next question coming up for you, which is, how do we strengthen trust in our shared reality? What do you think? Maybe you want to think for a moment and type. I'm going to put this question to you, Harsh. You knew that before, you didn't. And we give you some music to think here, Harsh, while everybody is typing. You work with one of the world's largest scientific publishers. Huge community, huge responsibility, massive legacy of how many years?
180 plus years.
180 plus years. What are you doing right now to create what you call, and I learned this from you preparing for the panel, trust signals that can show us, hey, what we put out there is safe, human-made, is a harbor, like what Davar just said about her late mother. It's kind of the safe space that you create around one person. How do you do that on a global scale?
I think if you look at science, the stakes are really, really high, right? If you have misinformation, disinformation in science, it could be a life and death moment for somebody, right? So we take our responsibility as a research publisher really seriously, and our job is to build trusted, verifiable building blocks of science, which people can build on to drive progress.
Okay.
So I think we do a few things. One, yes, we do use AI as well in a responsible way to be able to weed out all the scientific research that's shared with us, because increasingly there is a lot of AI-generated content there is AI-generated images, there is AI-generated research data, and we are able to use AI to actually fight AI. So you can responsibly use AI.
So just to understand, you reverse engineer it. Not like Davar, you help people create content, you reverse engineer and say, AI, tell me whether this was AI created.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing.
And with the amount of content that's out there, AI could be our friend if we use it in a really responsible way with human in the loop. The second thing for science and overall publishing is also peer review. I think in the age of AI, I think in the age of a lot of research that's getting published, having peer review, human experts in that field, being able to critique that research, being able to challenge that research and peer review it, I think is going to be a very, very important thing. The third thing that we do is we increasingly publish all our research open. So it's available for everybody to see, it's equitable. And the advantage of that is others can verify it. So if there is a research published on, I don't know, room temperature superconductivity in one part of the world, there are researchers in other research labs who could go and verify it, because verifiability, building that is really, really critical trust signal. And then what we do in addition is able to share this research, embed things like content provenance, so people could actually trace back where this is coming from.
Like a watermark.
So, absolutely, like a watermark.
Okay.
But just watermark won't help. Having all the other things in front, I think, is important. So we are able to then establish trust in scientific research that people could build on top of.
Okay.
So these are the trust signals. The trust signals are having that clear content provenance, authenticity, having human experts peer reviewed, but also using AI in a really responsible way to be able to weed out misinformation, disinformation in science. The stakes are really high for us in science, so.
But if you take a really controversial topic, let's say Tylenol autism, if I would then go to your research, would I actually see there's research that says, yes, there's a connection, research that says maybe, and research that says, no, there's no connection?
I think that's the idea of we being able to publish different points of views, right? Because research is messy. One day avocados are good, the other day the avocados are bad for you, right? So research evolves. They don't contradict each other, but research evolves. And that's the same case in case of Tylenol. You could see research which shows causation. You could see research which is actually showing that there is no correlation. So it's actually combining these different viewpoints to get to reality. I think that's the most important part.
But back to Melissa's point, how do you communicate with someone who only saw the one side? How do you talk to your mom who only saw the video that says, yes, there is a connection between Tylenol and autism? What language do you actually use?
I think if you go to our platform and if you actually query this, you will see all kinds of research with different points of views, right? I think the next
but your mom doesn't do that.
That's true, and that's why I think it's really important that we are able to convey scientific information to general audience in a way they could understand, and also convey different points of views to general audience. So if you go to nature.com, we have really explainers which explain, for example, what's going on, right? And explain the different points of views and really explaining it to a general audience so they could actually take away something from it.
So
can I follow on that? I just wanted to say how much I completely agree that science is under threat. Yeah. We're seeing it. But scientists and the science community needs to get much better at communicating. But the worry here in the AI world is that when we have consensus, I know we're bad at explaining that science evolves. We saw that in COVID-19. A big communications failure. You know, there were just absolute pronouncements. You don't need to wear a mask, and then, oh yes, you need to wear a mask. It is not airborne, or it is airborne. And then not explaining that science evolves. The disinformation actors, or the conspiracy theorists, the people who are making money online, they don't care about nuance. They just lie. And that's maybe what your mother is seeing. Absolutely. So we need to compete with that, and it comes back to trust, how to bring people to trusted sources of information where your researchers, your scientists, your journalists are doing all the work. And then others are just, if you look at who people trust, it's not necessarily, I would say, Springer Verlag Natur or Nature. It is some individual online. So just quick thing that we're doing to, again, and both, I agree with Davar, we have to be in this space and we have to find ways that good, solid information based on facts and for the common good is competing. So we actually deploy trusted messengers. During COVID-19, they were vaccine scientists and doctors. We trained them on TikTok. We gave them the facts, and we stepped back and said, produce in your own languages, your own communities. And climate, we're using lifestyle influencers who are saying, yeah, there's so many people out there who want to be part of a good message, of a factual message, who care about our environment, and we just need to give them the tools to communicate and get on board. They're already good communicators, they just need the facts, so there are ways.
And this includes your boss, right? Isn't the Secretary General also sort of went viral with a statement?
Amazingly, he became a kind of a star on TikTok, but yeah, he was talking about women's rights, maybe because he's a man and standing at the General Assembly, and because things are backsliding, but
Yeah.
No, I think something that I just want to add on top, right? There is a lot of clickbait media, and people want to have the views and attention, right? So people want to have, this is the attention economy. I think if we go back to the basics of creating transparency, being able to refer back to sources, right? So you have the provenance, and then education, like you rightly said, I think is really, really critical, and then combine it with accountability. So there needs to be transparency, some sort of accountability, but also really the education around how you communicate this.
Yeah.
And I think this fits very well with what the community is building here as a cloud. You see critical thinking, which I guess is probably what comes from having different opinions that you're exposed to. We see empathy, we see government engagement, building bridges. So Melissa, you have hundreds of publishing professionals right here in the room with us, in person and online. What could everybody do right now to be a part of what you're doing? Is there something that the UN has put out that everybody could basically sign on today?
Well, we have what's called the SDG Publishers Compact. So this SDGs are the Sustainable Development Goals. And this, if you sign on, you're part of a community of publishers who believe not only in sustainable publishing, but in lifting voices that are promoting causes that reduce inequality, that reduce hunger, that promote gender equality, that promote peace and love and understanding and everything that we want. So that's absolutely one way. But we also just think, kind of like the movement in journalism called solutions journalism, where an extra dimension has been added to reporting to go beyond, not only holding leaders to account and uncovering things. What they found is that audiences are left like, oh my God, this is too much, what can we do? I think it's very similar in the publishing industry. People in this world of problems are looking for answers, and they're looking for solutions, and they're looking for stories that maybe inspire us and guide us to a better world.
And maybe people can apply to become a trusted messenger as well.
If you are a lifestyle influencer, possibly, yes.
All right, let's see. Davar, you brought a question to the room, which I would now ask our producer, Liz, to switch towards. Davar, what would you like to know from everybody here and joining us online?
Sure. I mean, I think the question that we had asked was, should publishers and authors use AI versions of books to help readers engage with ideas more interactively and give more context? The idea here is that, again, using the same tools that are out there that are being used in nefarious ways, but use them for the advantage of publishers to be able to give more context. I had a podcast and created an AI for it. This particular podcast was about my husband's newly found German heritage. He thought he's Irish. He finds out, no, he's actually German-American. His name is John Smith. He's actually Johann Schmidt. So what we did is we created Catherine Kessler's CK. This is the AI you can talk to, and we fed it all the archival information, everything we found about genealogy related to Johann Schmidt, everything around German Americans, their contributions to America. 44 million Germans have contributed and are, consider German their heritage. My point here is that we have to be able to find ways to complement writing a book. I say that a book ends with a period, an AI ends with a question mark. This generation wants to interact. They want to read. I've seen them all here, and I think it's fantastic. But you have to give them the ability to ask questions, to probe, and it's fine also for them to be on both sides, right? So I see here the people are saying maybe, and of course I agree, maybe, because what is it that you're producing, and what engagement are you expecting? I think that the younger generation who are talking to ChatGPT for therapeutic purposes deserve publishers like you in the room to give them platforms that they can trust, to all of your points, that they can speak to, that they can learn about the books of history, that they can understand that the Persians in Persepolis carved out in stone in 3 languages, Elamite, Old Babylonian, and Persian. Why did they do that? Because they knew their audience speaks those languages. They knew that if they wanted truth to be disseminated, that they had to your point, do it in different languages. And
chat is a language.
Yeah, chat is a language.
So I brought this question to a lot of people that I met here at Book Fair, and the reactions were really interesting. And I saw some brains rattling. That's a really interesting idea. And others were like, what? But everybody here is moving at different speeds, and Springer Nature is known to move at high speed. So what do you think, Harsh?
I would have actually voted absolutely yes there. We are the largest publisher of STM books. And I think books have evolved, right? We had books in print, then it went digital. We could actually carry it, read it on a Kindle. We could listen to a book. We even created video courses around a book. But I think the next evolution for a book is an interactive book. And the interactive book would be complemented by AI. And I really like what you said. It's not a full stop, but a question mark.
Yes.
So you could actually ask questions to a book. Maybe my daughter would learn much better chatting with a book than actually chatting in ChatGPT, to be honest, because the book has captured the knowledge in a certain way, and really making it interactive and making it available to a larger audience is really, really valuable.
So do you have a timeline for when people will be able to chat with your research?
People would be able to chat with the book very soon. We are in early pilots, and we are trying to learn, and we are also trying to establish safeguards. But it's not in decades, but it will be in months and years.
Yeah, everybody was just, it's happening. It's super interesting. Thank you for giving us a little insight here into it. And Davar, I was just cutting you short, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I was speaking to a group of Native American technologists and engineers in Arizona, and I walked by the conference room and it said Council of Elders, and I gave myself permission to go in, had an opportunity to speak a little bit about artificial intelligence, conversational AI as a tool. And there was an elder Navajo there, as well as his son, who was 25 years old. And I said to the son, would you like to learn about the value of water through your father in 45 minutes or through a bot in 2 minutes? And he literally looked and said to his father, I want a bot to tell me what water is in 2 minutes. And this is a very, incredibly prominent Navajo family, but that is the next generation. We have to help build these cultural engines, teach them how to do it within certain frameworks so that the young generation don't feel, they're being left behind. So I'm going to try here for a second to talk to an AI.
Okay. Do you want to hear live from an AI? We didn't plan this or rehearse this. Anybody up for it? All right. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to chat with, who are you chatting with?
CK, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your data?
I am Catherine Kessler, remembered through records and archives, and I'm glad you asked about my story. In essence, I exist as a voice woven from historical transcripts and the data memories that have been preserved about our family. It was my name, Catherine Kessler, found in Pastor Johannes Braun's meticulous records from the early 1800s that became a key to unlocking the Smith family's German roots. Now, as CK, I share this lineage and the discoveries we've made. We once believed Johannes Albrecht Schmidt was our ancestor, but newer findings suggest that the real progenitor was likely Johann Samuel Schmidt, who became known as John S. Smith in Virginia.
Okay, I didn't understand everything, but this was Catherine Kessler, AI. So this was live. This is something that Davar built. And this is your family historian, right?
Yeah.
That you can talk to
Yes, so
any
we
minute.
have people, our cousins in Ohio, all over the country who are asking questions, learning about their heritage remotely on their own time. And we've trained it, obviously, not to give disinformation. So it's trained to say, I don't know, if they're asking a question that it might not know.
We will all have to say, I don't know, a lot more. And yesterday, I put your idea in front of Meru Gokale, who is used to run Penguin Random House in India and now has a startup called Editrix, which will help editors around the world to use AI to get a lot more work done and a lot more interesting work done. And I told her about your AI book idea, and she said, it is maybe time to accept that AI will be helping us to create a lot more readers, instead of always being afraid of AI creating too many books.
Yeah.
And I feel like what you're creating here is an access point, a touch point that hasn't been there before, and that is a really optimistic vision for it. I thank you for bringing that to
Yeah, I
life
mean,
to the
I've
stage
spent
here.
22 years of my career at NPR News. I was a senior producer responsible for producing Morning Edition for 38 million listeners. I was at National Geographic in charge of all audio programming. So, I mean, I have a lot of experience in storytelling, and I believe that the future has to include technology, not just artificial intelligence, but cultural intelligence. The idea that we need to bring value to what helps the heartbeat of humans is their culture. So technology is the same. We have to teach technology about cultural intelligence, and this obviously is through data sets, but do it in a responsible way where communities are creating their own hubs. It's not up for grabs. You can't, take the information and use it for your own good. So hopefully there'll be opportunities to do this.
It is regaining control of individual realities.
So much, yeah, absolutely. And everybody says the future of AI is not large language models. Everybody knows this now. We thought it was. It's not. The future of AI is smaller systems, to your point, that communities are going to use that are going to be tied to a larger purpose. And by the way, why couldn't those larger purpose platforms be publishing? Right? Because you already have credibility, or the United Nations. And it's just our decision how we want to be, whether we want to be gatekeepers or not, and now is our time. The future does not belong to the tech bros. The future belongs to us having the courage to say, we're going to do it a different way, and we're going to collaborate, and we're going to make it happen.
I was looking at Melissa while Davar was speaking, and I thought, Melissa is really thinking right now. What were you thinking, Melissa? What just went through your head?
Well, I mean, I was struck by the family identity thing, because when I first started engaging with ChatGPT, first my husband asked it, who is Melissa Fleming and who is she married to? And it wasn't him.
Tell us more, Melissa.
And then I did this experiment where every month I would ask it who I'm married to, and every month it was a different man. And I had beautiful weddings in Tuscany, and
Amazing.
I had different sets of children.
Yeah. Global communications just...
I mean, now it's finally gotten to the point where it just says, I don't know. After 7 husbands, I don't know. So do you think I trust the thing? No. So I'm very happy to hear that about these kinds of initiatives where we can begin to start owning. And I think this is really important as purveyors of facts and data and science. Right now, large language models are fed, they're fed by the internet. And as we know, the internet contains a lot of junk. and a lot of disinformation. And in the area of climate change, we are particularly worried because there's 99.9% consensus that climate change is real, despite what vested interest fossil fuel companies keep trying with billions of dollars to pump into the ecosystem. There is a consensus climate change is real. And yet, what we're seeing now with AI is there are more fake papers that are made to look like real peer-reviewed studies. One which was there to debunk the findings of the IPCC. This is the Consensus Science Report on Climate Change. We're worried about synthetic personas, fake scientists who, could come onto the scene and claim to know, and that this kind of both-sidism will come back, where media organizations start interviewing again, which they did for years, unfortunately. Well, here are the people who believe in climate change, the scientists, and let's get the other point of view. That doesn't happen anymore because there is none. And yet, this is seeping back in. So the reason I'm saying this is I think we need to have these individualized, like the UN climate change AI that is trained only on UN reports. And I think this is what we need, and that comes back to trust again.
Are you building
Going
that
back
already?
to the source. Unfortunately, not now. We have, like the World Meteorological Organization, for example, has built a chatbot where you can engage, and it's only trained on the content from the World Meteorological Organization. And so, we're in an absolute funding crisis for reasons that you well know. And so, unfortunately, we need investment, and hopefully this is in the near future.
Yeah. Very briefly, I'm involved with an environmental engineering company in Annapolis, Pennsylvania, and we're opening an applied AI lab in Annapolis with a focus on environmental engineering, very much tied to the kinds of things you're saying, to help teach civil and environmental engineers not just how to use these tools, but also how to look for, information that is inaccurate, how to not trust, sources that are out there that might give them information that is inaccurate. And I think this kind of applied AI workshops and trainings are critical. This isn't just how to use AI. This is an applied AI for a skilled PE that is going to know when they're going out in the field, which part of this tool can they use and test, etc. So hopefully that'll go well.
I would like to close, and thank you so much for being here and taking the time in person and online, with a poll. Simple question. Who's going to win the battle for reality? Humans or AI? Liz, our producer, is going to switch the screen, so if you're participating on your mobile devices, you're now asked to vote. And Elena and Dario, if you're listening, maybe we can have some music again to get the thoughts rolling, because I would love to see many of you chiming in here. And of course, I'm also going to take our speakers to the test here. Harsh, what do you think?
I really like the trust in humanity. We have more humans than AI. I think it's, I would, as a technologist and as an optimist, I believe it's a combination of humans and AI. I think there is so much of misinformation and disinformation that we would need to have the help of AI to at least spotlight on areas where we see issues are. But the reality is all of us are living in a bubble. That's the truth. How many of you believe you're not in a bubble? Good. Then you would have been the deepest in the bubble, because we're all in the bubble today. And I think the most important thing is realizing that there are many realities and we're all in a bubble. And being able to see different sides of a story, I think, is important. This is what I tell my daughter. This is what I tell my mom. When they see information, I ask them to verify it through multiple sources.
And this is what you do yourself. I just learned before you got on stage that you have two different accounts for social media.
Yeah, that's a fun hobby. I have two different accounts, two Google profiles. And in one, if I'm watching something related to blue, I see all the viewpoints on one side of the aisle. And the other profile is when I'm watching something related to red, I completely see a different reality. So unless we train ourselves to be open to see all kinds of reality, even things that we don't agree with, we need to create that friction in ourselves to be open to look at different viewpoints. I think we'll be able to discern reality much better and shape shared reality much better.
Thank you, Harsh. Melissa, what do you think?
I think it's, the pessimist in me says it's a combination of humans and AI, because humans control AI, but I guess the question is whether AI will become its own intelligence, which is frightening. I still do think that the vast majority of humans on this earth would like to retain the human control of our narratives, our stories, our histories, and our realities. And so I'll hold on to that optimistic hope.
Also, at Buchmesse, there's still very few humanoids in the audience, because they would probably, maybe have the other go a little bit more up. But as far as I can tell, most people here are still humans gathering. A colleague of mine today had a panel with an AI. It's already happening. Davar, what do you think? What team are you on?
I mean, I would add responsible AI there, and I would say 100% it's equal. I rely on my tools for everything, as you can tell. So I think that the battle for reality will be won by humans who are creating custom, responsible AIs and using them in really profound ways. It is going to bring human flourishing. It is going to allow us to move into the knowledge arena in the AI frontiers in new and responsible ways.
And if I could just end following on that, I mean, I've been speaking a lot about the dark side from the viewpoint of the UN, but there is a huge part of the United Nations that is so excited about AI in implementing the SDGs. And there was a study that said that 80% of the SDGs could be hugely accelerated by the applications of AI. And I think it's exactly what you said. These are tailored AIs in the field of agriculture, in the field of health, in the field of medicine, education, where we could really empower so many more people to solve their own problems locally.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'm really excited, really looking forward to chatting with the UN on climate change. Really looking forward to talking to your mom and your mother-in-law, and really looking forward to talking to your research. And thank you for giving us an insight into what you all are working on. Thank you for your time. I want to thank John, Martina, Luisa, and the Buchmesse team. This was not an easy production, and we pulled it off. And of course, to Liz and Eleno and Dario in New York City, maybe we can also see the Zoom community that joined in here from, I think, 3 or 4 different continents one last time. If you're still here, maybe you can give us a little bit of a wave here, and I'm going to just turn your camera so you can see Frankfurter Buchmesse center stage, and maybe you can wave back so we connect people here across continents. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Michael, Annika, Edgar, Katrin, Thilo, everybody who took time to be there online. Really appreciate it. And of course, to our amazing speakers, to Davar, to Melissa, and to Harsh, thank you
and
very,
what
very
beautiful
much.
music.
Yes, Eleno and Dario are about to
you.
play the final song, so while that is fading in, we also see the next generation is joining. Let's say hi to Noah. I think Noah just got up over there in New York City. That's not AI. That's real life right there. That's exhausting. And thank you, Eleno and Dario, for pulling this off. And I want to say, if you're interested in this conversation, talk to our speakers and go to the innovation stage. Spring and Nature has an amazing AI talk coming up at 1:30 over there to dive deeper into the topic. I also heard there's hot soup. That's not a given at Book Fair, that you get free food. So go over there and become part of the community and enjoy the rest of Frankfurter Buchmesse. I'm Felix Zeltner, and on behalf of the entire Hof team and community, I want to thank you very much for being a part of this experiment today. Now enjoy the final song coming live to you from New York City, and this is your applause for our guests today on stage and for the community. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.